The Guardians are looking to exceed our expectations on this first opening road trip of the season, and Gavin Williams delivers a start that only two previous Cleveland pitchers have ever accomplished on today's Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Can the Guardians get it done? We're about to find out. This is Locked On Guardians, your only daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, because we cover the Guardians from the majors, the minors, the draft, and everything in between. And we'll hit on all of that today as the Guardians try to wrap up a road trip to Seattle and LA to start the year that far exceeds our expectations. And starting off strong is Khal Smith in the bottom of the ninth inning, is closing this one out. And the first two pitches in the zone were splitters for strikes, which were issues for him the other night.
Huge.
We are already off
so hard.
Yeah, so we are off and running already to a good start. I am Justin Lada, one of two co-hosts here for the last 4 years, but my friend and co-host Jeff Ellis just celebrated 7 years with Locked On, start of his 8th season, and we've both been covering the Guardians farm system, and Jeff is focused on the draft for the last 19 years, believe it or not. So that's absolutely crazy. On today's show, we will... Yeah, a long time. It's been fun, though. We're doing it a long time for both of us. And now you and I are going on 10 years. We've known each other a little over 10 years. So almost half of it, this ride. But yeah, on today's show, we will continue to do more live updates to the game as the Guardians try to close out a win over the Dodgers to end the road trip. We got to talk about Gavin Williams' Cy Young-like performance. I'm going to throw it out there. I know that's crazy, but I'm going to throw it out there. We're going to talk about this road trip, how successful it's been in the minor leagues. They are starting in full swing today, and we'll talk about some of the assignments there, as well as a little bit of draft news and some other minor league performances on the show. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. During the tournament, FanDuel is offering $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. So we got one down here, Jeff, in the bottom of the ninth inning. Khal Smith goes through Kyle Tucker. I have no issues here bringing Khal Smith in again in a 4-run lead because, again, the old analogy or the old saying with closers in the 4-run game is if you bring somebody else in and they screw up, you have to bring the closer in anyway, and why burn two pitchers? And I think we both agree this is
need some work.
Need to have. Yeah, I mean, there's an off day on Thursday, and you want to get Cade kind of on the right track coming home, and so far so good, I would say, in this outing. He looks more like the Khal Smith we're used to. Oh, okay, you're just not speechless. Okay.
Agreed. Sorry. I was messing around with where my window placement was.
Fair enough. But the real story in this game was Gavin Williams. He talked about how the last start out, he had some kind of mechanical issue. I mean, he had 6 walks with 7. Did it end up being 7? I can't remember.
I think I want to say it was 7. I want to say it was 7 walks in the end.
Yeah, ridiculous amount of walks, and he said it was a mechanical issue. And I hear that, I'm like, okay, why? Fine, whatever. Not the first time we've heard that from Gavin, but I think the thing that's most impressive about this start is that A, it's against the Dodgers, and he was dominant, and B, like it was a mechanical flaw he fixed in 5 days. Like usually you hear that, and you're like, oh well. Your body does those things, and sometimes 2 outs. Yeah, Mookie Betts flies out. So sometimes it's hard to correct those things within one start, right? Like sometimes your body.
Seemed like he figured it out the next day. I mean, correcting it, you're right, does sometimes is easier said than done. But it's crazy that he even figured it out like within 12 hours. Just going back and looking at the game once, he was able to see the error.
Must have been very obvious. I truthfully didn't catch it. But I also didn't go back and look that hard because
nor did I.
Yeah, and it was late in Seattle, and I was tired, and it was a frustrating game from that standpoint. They won that. Oh well, the shutout's over, and Khal Smith is still not fully on track. Freddie Freeman goes deep to center field.
He had been struggling. I had jinxed us yesterday. I talked about how Freddie Freeman does not look good yesterday. He finally comes back to haunt us today. So that's my fault. I apologize now. That's on me.
Yeah, maybe Freddie was just due, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who will say, well, Khal Smith still struggling. I'm still not worried about Khal Smith. Just FYI, I'm not worried at all. It's a home run. Freddie Freeman was due, and he put.
And look where he hit it from. That is
yeah, that's a good.
That's a pitch you just kind of tip your cap. It was a 96 mile an hour fastball at the bottom in corner. Like how many guys can extend and hit that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things where, like, this is why even though Freddie Freeman is going to turn 37 in October, he's still one of the best in the business. He's a freak of nature. You know, we finally have, you know, we have our own freak of nature with Jose. Maybe we have two with Chase DeLauder, but sometimes you just got to tip your cap.
Yeah, I mean, Freddie Freeman's been one of the best hitters in baseball for a long time, and that's a good pitch. I wouldn't be surprised if that was like a zone where maybe Freddie Freeman probably does have some power in, and maybe you want to avoid that a little bit, but yeah, I'm not like super concerned overall. Yeah, that's a pitch historically Freddie Freeman probably can handle in that part of the zone. But I don't have a problem with the pitch overall because it's still a good location. It's just that's a location.
He can't get the save. So sometimes people like it when we talk about rules, and I know this is one people don't really know. So I'm just gonna throw it out there. So it is a safe situation, but for those who are not familiar, who don't know, we always like to explain the why. I'm a teacher by day. It's part of, a big part of teaching to me is explaining whys. So it is now a save situation, but it is not a save opportunity for Cade Smith, in case you were curious.
Yeah, a closer or a pitcher cannot create their own save situation and do that. But yeah, I mean, sometimes your body, like it's like a lot of sports in general is muscle memory, like basketball and football and baseball, like especially pitching, it's a lot of muscle memory. So when you have a mechanical flaw, like Gavin Williams was talking about, to fix that in one start, like you said, he identified it and then he fixed it the next start. Like it's so rare to see that so quickly, as good as he was in this game. I mean, outside of the no-hit bid he had against the Mets last year, this is probably one of the best starts I think Gavin Williams has had his entire career, right?
Yep. And there we have ball game. Will Smith to Daniel Schneemann will end it here. So they split one series and they won the other. That is, I mean, that's better than we could have hoped for. Let's be real honest. They split the series. They split the series against the team that a lot of people are picking to go to the World Series. You and I both.
Yes, and they took a two or three from the two-time defending world champions. And by the way, in the two wins, Cade Smith allowed all the runs, which is crazy. Yeah. And they allowed 3 runs over those two wins in LA. And if you would have told me, yeah, Cade Smith's going to allow all the runs, and yeah, you're only going to, what did they win on Monday? Was it 2-0 or it was 4-2, right?
I think it ended up being 4-2, right? It was 4 runs in both games. I think you're right in that.
Yeah, so the 2 games they won was 8-3, and just a great road trip. I don't know how you can ask for much more. And I know we're going to cover that in the second segment, but yeah, Gavin was special in this game. Like, he was dominating, and I thought for a moment they'd bring him out for the 8th inning, but 85 pitches, like you said off air, like that's about where you want to get to.
That's the max you want to get to early in the season. I really feel like you just, Gavin's had his own set of injury issues through the years. Don't want to mess with it. Yeah, I always think back to when I was media and got to cover Gavin when he was here in Milwaukee. And, a reporter asked like one of the worst questions I've ever heard. I can't remember what it was now. You think it would stick, but no, do you think of yourself as an ace?
Oh, I remember that question last year.
That's what they asked. But it's like in that game, like he was a pitcher who just could not get his mechanics together. He's like nothing. He literally said in that interview, like nothing is working. Nothing was everything I was throwing. Like, it's amazing. Here we are 2 years later, and he can identify and spot things. Like, I know I'm going back to an old point, but just how much he has matured as a pitcher that can happen, as opposed to, a few years ago when he couldn't, it would take months. So it is just a sign of him continuing to level up. And with the stuff he has, I mean, I love, Tanner. You and I were the drivers of that bandwagon for a lot of years. But Tanner and Gavin give them, I know a lot of people want to be down on this pitching staff, give them such a potential 1-2 punch. And that's not even counting what we've seen with Messick. That's not even counting what maybe Cantillo can do. It's like, I don't know. I'm feeling, even though a lot of people are worried about the starting pitching, I'm feeling really good about it.
I'm happy with the 5. It's my issue is the depth. Like, at least early on, like, you already had Tanner with the shoulder
totally
thing.
Get that.
Ended up being minor. And then of course Ciccone was sick, and then Gavin walked the entire state of Washington at his first start. But he really had a plan in this game too, which is the really fun thing to see, is like, not only did he identify a mechanical issue, corrected it within 5 days, and he came into this game with a very clear plan. If you look at his pitch mix, and that's what's got me most excited. And we'll talk about that pitch mix in the second segment. We'll also talk about what he did in this game that only 2 other Guardians pitchers have ever done. it puts him in really good company, Cy Young company even. So that's coming up next.
Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open when the pressure's on and you need the right hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to the Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, that is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And our listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. You are muted, my friend.
Of course I am. I pulled a Jeff there. Baseball's back. I'm back. We're back. The Guardians are back. You want to celebrate heading into Friday's home opener. We are giving you a full month of the Everydayer Club for free. If you go to LockedOnGuardians.supercast.com, use the code FINALLY. You'll unlock every episode ad-free. Get access to our private listener group chat where we have all been popping off and celebrating this great road trip. And you can be a part of it as well. If you tap the link in the show notes, use code FINALLY to claim your free month of the Everydayer Club. So real quickly, this is from the Guardians stat department. Gavin Williams joins CC Sabathia and Corey Kluber as the only two pitchers in Cleveland baseball history to strike out 10 or more Dodgers in a game. So there you go. Gavin Williams is going to win a Cy Young. That's what I'm running with when it comes to that correlation. That's definitely, is that correlation or causation? I'm not sure which one it is there. Science, math.
Well, correlation would be the one that has no, causation would be if it actually could make it occur.
I would say causation then. Like, it could occur.
Well, it's like if it's directly, it causes it. Like, Well,
sure. When you strike out 10 Dodgers in a start, the best team in baseball, the best team money can buy, in your second start of the season, and you throw a shutout, I'd say that could be a huge resume booster for the Cy Young on April 1st.
As long as you keep it going.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you can do that to this lineup, you can do it to any lineup, right? Like, I don't think that's really hard to say. Like, if you do it here, you should be able to do it against anybody. The fun thing about his game in this one is that he clearly had a plan of attack. He threw 27% sweepers. Last year, Jeff, he only threw 8% sweepers all year. So a ton of sweepers in this game, a lot to the righties, 6 whiffs. So he clearly knows he uses that sweeper to go off after righties. He splits the distribution on his four seam, which was really good, by the way, up to 97, up to 98. Got 5 called strikes, so his fastball command was good. Couple of whiffs on that one. The curveball, mostly to lefties, that got 6 whiffs. So he's got a breaking ball that works against righties. He's got a breaking ball that works against lefties. And this is how you beat left-handers without a changeup, by the way. If you don't have a changeup, like, remember how long Shane Bieber, I guess it didn't matter, it worked for Bieber, so maybe this is a good comparison, but remember how long, like, we talked about how, like, Tristan McKenzie didn't have a changeup and Corey Kluber didn't really have a changeup, right? It's because you have 2 breaking balls. Like, that's how you was it. That was the Spencer Strider thing, I think, before he got hurt. Like, yeah. And Gavin's a very similar. That's former Guardians draft pick Spencer Strider, by the way.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and they're similar pitchers, I feel like. I mean, Strider has unfortunately fallen a little bit due to injury, but yeah, that pitch mix can work. Like, very clearly it can work. If you command your fastball and you have a breaking ball that can get righties out and a breaking ball that gets lefties out, and you move in the cutter too, which was all lefties, like, that's very clearly, like, you're going to have to vary it eventually because you're not going to be able to do the same thing every time out. But very clearly he has a plan that can work.
He does. And something we didn't mention in segment 1, I got to throw here is, we talked about how they won these 2 games, 4-2 and 4-1. Can we talk about the Dodgers also won 4-1, that this series was
pretty tight,
really tight all across, really low scoring affairs, but that apparently it was just whatever team got to 4 first would win.
I mean, that is the Guardians thing, right? Score 4 and win, because they have the pitching to do that. So score 4 and win, and first to 4 wins. So I think that absolutely tracks. Yeah. I mean, that it also doesn't, the pitching, the pitching staff was really good overall in this series. Like Tanner, I know he got to his pitch count in the 4th inning, so he didn't get to go deeper, but he came back and he looked exactly like you want him to look. I mean, you would like him to have seen.
I will take 1 run in 4 innings every time.
Yeah. Especially against the Dodgers. And so that means the starting pitching in this series allowed 1 run against the Dodgers, because Gavin didn't allow a run against the Dodgers, and neither did Parker Messick. So they had let's see, 4, 10, 17 innings, 1 earned run for the 3 starting pitchers.
Pretty solid
against the 2-time defending champs in LA, by the way, to start the year. I that's going to win you a lot of ball games. Even I know people will say, like, with this offense, who knows, but that's going to win you a lot of ball games. It's going to keep you in a lot of ball games. It's just, I think you're right. You feel really good about where the rotation is at. Like, I need Cantillo to figure out the changeup and throw strikes, and then we'll go with Ciccone and say, like, he was sick and he ate some innings. It could have been a lot worse. We also, Jeff haven't talked about Jose Ramirez is back.
Gabriel Arias, both of them, had, and Schneemann had a big moment in this one too.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, by the way, this helmet, it just fits Jose so perfectly. Like, it's a great picture. Like, I love it. It's like one of my favorite pictures of all time already. Maybe that's the helmet that won't fall off Jose, but I want to.
No, every helmet falls off. His head is like
it does,
made of butter or something. It just all slides off.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. Arias got on board though.
He had the home run, but he also had a big throw. Like, he had that throw on that double play.
I would say too, yeah.
That, like, him and Mason Wynn are probably the only guys in baseball. Maybe Ellie De La Cruz. Those 3 are the 3 guys who maybe make that play. Everyone else doesn't. And I mean, I didn't expect him to be the guy to be the first person to hit a home run outside of Chase DeLauder, and especially going to dead center. The tools are always going to infuriate. It's that's just going to be the issue with him. And then, he strikes out 2 more times and just swings through his shoes. But and then Jose, finally, he struggled early on too. Those are just big moments. The team, and Schneemann, credit, like the double, the hustle. I mean, he manufactured their first run of the game almost himself.
Yeah, your 3 stars are what? Gavin, Schneemann, and Gabby, I guess.
I got to give it to Jose over Schneemann, but for the 2-run home run.
Yeah.
But
right. I mean, that was a big play for Schneemann.
It was a big play. It gave you that breathing room. So it's like Schneemann's a hard squeeze out on this, but like, we're seeing Schneemann play every day for a reason. He runs well. He's got a great arm. He's a great defender. The bat's just a little light, but like, I mean, he's got all the tools to play in this league for a very long time.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Like, on Arias, like, obviously this doesn't change like who he is. We know who Arias is at this point, but
I mean, the game was a microcosm of it with the bad strikeouts and
his next 3 at bats were absolutely 2 at bats were absolutely miserably bad. But he hit a home run, which is great. They needed that, and he needed that. But the double play, like, that's a huge moment in the game where, like you said, Rocchio cannot make that play. I think the only shortstop in this system that can make that play is Angel Hanao as far as throw. So that's part of the reason you're still putting up with Arias, because that Ohtani is safe there. Who knows what Kyle Tucker does the next at bat? Like, that was a huge. And I also kept. Was that still Gavin at that point?
Yeah, it was Gavin. Yeah, it was Gavin.
So you would have probably had to bring Sabrowski or Heron in a little bit early to face Tucker, maybe. I don't know.
Potentially, because wasn't that like there was men on first and second, so there would have been a runner on first and third with 1 out instead of 2.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, they got the out at second, so it would have been first and third with 2 outs, and it was still a 2-1
instead of 1. Yeah.
And it was still a 2-1 game at that point too, so it was very close. So yeah, that throw by Arias just
2-0 game at that point.
Sorry, 2-0. Yeah. So that throw by Arias, like, it's not really going to stand out in the box score, but it was really important, and it's important to acknowledge that because I don't know if anybody.
I mean, that's the only. That's why I defend him. It's the defense. It's certainly not the offense. It's just that defense and that arm is. You're going to lose something when you move off of him. That's why I also made 1,000 trades for Mason Wynn this offseason, even though I knew the Cardinals have no interest in doing that.
Well, if they
trying to wish cast it into being.
If they lock up JJ Weatherholt, maybe that's still on the table, which apparently they're talking about.
I keep hoping.
Yeah. It seems like there's still more extensions to come. It sounds like Weatherholt and Connor Griffin are all on the table too. So hopefully some of those come Cleveland's way. I don't know. All right, we'll touch more on this game. I think we've kind of covered everything, though. I mean, we do have to talk about Eric Sabrowski. I think it's important to talk about him. And then we got some of the minor leagues. It is minor league opening day across the board. So AAA opened last week. Now it is for real all across the land. So we've got Akron, we've got Lake County, we've got the newly claimed Hill City, Lynchburg. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about some stuff that happened in AAA. And we got a little bit of draft news to go over, which is important. So stick around for a lot more on this episode of Locked On Guardians. All tournament long, it is the best time of year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets, non-stop action from the tip to the final cut down of those nets. Right now, if you're a new FanDuel customer, there's a new way for you to stay on the action all tournament long. So if you're like me and your bracket is just torn to smithereens, if you're a new FanDuel customer, you get $300 in bonus bets back for 10 days every day. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the tournament. You could mix it up however you want. You can go with game picks, futures, same-game parlays, and stack your bigger potential payouts. If we're looking for maybe something more Guardian-specific, however, you do have Chase DeLauder at plus 500 for Rookie of the Year. I would still maybe try that one out. And they only bumped the Guardians' win total up to 79.5 from 78.5. For the over-under. So I'm smashing that over still, and clearly we'll see what happens tomorrow when they realize they just took 2 or 3 from the defending champs, and they're starting pitching. We allowed 1 run in 17 innings. Go visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action. I appreciate all of you being here, celebrating this road trip with us together. It was a great road trip. We're happy to get the Guardians back home and on East Coast time, especially. I know I'm very happy about that, but you could celebrate even more if you hit the bell on YouTube. You get reaction videos. You get the videos pushed to you automatically when the episodes go live, and you can auto-download on all your favorite platforms. You can listen to the podcast maybe on your way to the home opener. And speaking of that, again, come by the Thirsty Parrot on Friday. I'll be there with Matt Fontana from Big Play from sometime between 1 and 2. I think I'm planning from 1:30. So if you want to come hang out, talk ball, chat for a little bit, and get geared up for the home opener, I'll be over there at the Thirsty Parrot. Also, shout out to everydayer Ken C, who is definitely not a moron, no matter what people say. Even if his baseball comparisons sometimes even confuse me, we got to shout out our man Ken C over here. Speaking of guys, we got to shout out Eric Sabrowski. Only one batter face, but it was a very important batter,
and he made it look foolish.
He did. I mean, it takes a lot to make Shohei Ohtani look bad. And Eric Sabrowski, 3 pitches, 3 strikes. And that was with runners on. And it was a critical point in the 8th inning after Armstrong, kind of struggled a little bit, gave him 2 hits, got himself out of a little bit of trouble. But Sabrowski, like right now, if I was doing like a power ranking or circle of trust in the bullpen, like I might put Sabrowski number 1. I know you're still going to say Cade, but
yeah,
Sabrowski's looked really good in every outing so far. Like he could do no wrong right now. And I'm so happy for him too, by the way, just because of his history, like the 2 Tommy Johns, like being a minor league Rule 5 pick. Like that's just, I don't think people realize how incredibly rare that is.
Yeah. And he has a good chance to be the greatest Rule 5 selection in the history of this franchise. I've talked about this many times. This team has lost so many great we've talked about Santander and Rendon, and you can go back to Hector Luna and Kelly Gruber. They lost in the Rule 5 draft. It's one of their greatest first rounders ever, and he went on to be a great third baseman for the Blue Jays. And they have not had success. Trevor Stephen is no worse than 3rd best Rule 5 selection in the history of this franchise. There's a Scottish reliever. I I wanted to say his name was Wendell, but that might actually be me getting confused with our everyday Dave Wendell. So, but I can't think of what the Scottish reliever's name is, who was in the early 80s. So it's like all relievers. And Sabrowski, even though he's a minor league Rule 5, is still a Rule 5. So he right now looks like he's going to be the greatest one. And I got to throw this out there while we're talking about him. It just kind of, again, speaks to me, especially with relievers, how important spring training is and having that full camp and the health. And, Sabrowski started out last year with some health issues and then was not quite the same arm. Like they couldn't count on him down the stretch. There were some inconsistencies there, right? So it's like having him fully healthy and available from the start, having him have the full buildup. Like he's been great. Cade's going to stay number one for me because I am a big track record, a big back it up type of guy. Yeah, but like Sabrowski is very easily 2 at this point. Armstrong, I still believe in him. I'm a little bit concerned. There's been, he didn't give up any runs, but he had some iffy moments in the game today. They keep hoping guys are going to beat Father Time, and unfortunately Father Time is undefeated. So hopefully Armstrong can keep the Reaper at bay a bit longer because they do need him in the pen. But Sabrowski's been utterly fantastic.
Yeah. And then, you have to say Peyton Paulette, too, also is in that little group of circle of trust. Festa's still been good, too. I was skeptical, but he's been very solid. The only guy Kobe Howard was great in what they asked him to do on Wednesday or Tuesday, I should say. And Connor Brogdon's the only guy who's kind of been kind of iffy out of
and he's got a win. Shows you the importance of pitcher wins, that he's got one of their team wins.
Yes, he was good. He was good in one of the outings, and he had a lot of home run, and the other was kind of big. So, moving on to other minor league pitchers. So, like I said, minor league opening day is now across the board. We've got AAA, now we've got AA, high A, and low A in action. Khal Stephen, of course, the new show mascot. We've moved on from Tanner Bibee all those years ago. So now Khal Stephen becomes the next Tanner Bibee, and it's locked on Khal Stephen when it's not locked on Chase the Water, right?
This is why Justin has a Khal Stephen body pillow, as I said on the show yesterday. And people
all right, well, I couldn't get a Nick Kurtz one because I didn't take him. Like that was my plan, and then it got ruined, which, whatever. So he's pitching for Akron on Thursday. Justin Campbell is finally going to make his first ever appearance as an official game. So Justin Campbell was a first-round pick in 2022, believe it or not. He's never thrown an official pitch in a game because he's had like 3 or 4 arm surgeries. So he'll make his first start on Thursday. Wouldn't be shocked if he's just like an opener, by the way, because, how many innings can he go realistically? And then Joey Oakie is pitching on Thursday to open up for Hill City. Which pitcher? You're probably not going to because you have kids and other things to do, and I don't have a life, and my wife lets me do whatever I want because she's awesome. But which pitcher, in theory, if you were going to watch, who would you be watching?
Unfortunately, it will be clips with kids, and I also have to sit down and do taxes because that's what I get to do on my spring break is a full day of taxes. So that'll be fun.
Party animal, you.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna be Oakie.
TurboTax do it for you, by the way.
I've got a system. I'm gonna. I know there are sponsors, but I got a system. Joey Oakie would be the guy. Like he's the one. Like I appreciate Khal Stephen, but I kind of know what he's gonna be to a degree. I don't want to say I really know what any pitcher is gonna be in the minors because Lord knows anything can happen. But I've seen a lot of Khal Stephen over the years. I've seen him at a high performance, a believer in him. But Oakie, and I've Stephen rated higher than Oakie, but like Oakie to me is that guy where there's so much potential and so much ceiling. And if you told me like by the end of the year he was considered by some the top prospect in the system, I wouldn't be shocked. If you told me by the end of the year he wasn't, a top 20 prospect in the system because he just, had that'd be a little shocking. But if you said he had fallen out of the top 10, it wouldn't be a shock. Like there's just so much potential for variance with his athleticism, with his profile, with adding pitches, his size, even his health history. Like there's a lot of things occurring with Oakie that make him fascinating.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I want to see the velocity there. I probably will be watching Khal Stephen if we're being honest, because I would be not leaning into the bit if I didn't watch Khal Stephen on Thursday. So I'll probably be doing that. So you can get your Khal Stephen clips on Twitter for me and all that. So that'll be a lot of fun. Hunter Gaddis pitched another rehab, or I'm sorry, he didn't pitch again on Wednesday, but he apparently should be back sometime on this homestand, so that's good. I think he might have one. I would expect him to be in Cleveland on Friday, just because this will probably be announced with the team. But it wouldn't be shocking if he's back like on Sunday or Monday. So that's a really good sign. Stuart Fairchild, Jeff, 2 home runs. Should he be on the roster soon?
I think so. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I wanted him up here over Gafis to begin with, just because he gives you more defensive flexibility. That right-handed bat, just a lot of things he can do. He's a really good defender, runs well, has the highest OPS in AAA. It's early, I'm not going to put too much weight in it. We've talked about how much that battle has shifted just over the last few days because it's so early. But I think Fairchild, and the thing to point out too is when Gaddis comes ready, it's very clear Kobe Allard is going to be like, go. And he'll probably resign and go down to AAA unless the team offers him something. He has that ability at that point to go to another team if the team claims him. That would open a roster spot, though, on the 40-man to add Stuart Fairchild.
It would, yeah. So that's potential, too. George Valera rehabbed as well. He went 0 for 4 with a walk and a strikeout. But, he played the full game in his first game back. It was a calf issue, so hopefully he's good. Daniel Espino, Jeff, pitched again. 1 inning, 15, I think it was 13 pitches, 15 pitches, 9 strikes. He struck out a batter, almost at 98. Looked good again. Only a 1 inning stint, but it was every 5 days. So it's 5 days past his first outing. So they're still doing the 1 inning stints, but the fact they're keeping him on the 5-day schedule means there's still a possibility they might try to build him into a multi-inning to see where that goes, which is exciting. He looks good. He's staying healthy. The stuff is there. But this is the right call, I think, to just make sure you still have the option available to you. I like that.
Yeah, and I know we mentioned the draft stuff. I'll just kind of quickly throw this out there. They announced Jim Callis, who works for MLB, announced the pools. Cleveland has the 14th highest pool. They get $12,573,900. They can essentially spend 5% minus 1 cent of that. And that first, 5% minus a penny, they just pay they pay a fee on that. They're going to pay almost double. So, that is an additional $628,694.99. So that puts their max spending at $13,202,594.99. They spend that just about every year. If they're a few thousand short, that's about it. They go over and beyond, and that is always how they do it. Having those 2 picks in the top 30. I almost expected them to be a little higher on the total money list, but, they did make the playoffs. For instance, the Orioles are 1 spot ahead of them in the draft, even though they are a team that is picking much higher. Pirates have the most money, then come the Rays, the White Sox, the Twins, and the Cardinals. Pirates, I believe, are a team next year who can't pick high, so they are going to be in a in-between year. And, the Cardinals went and traded for like 3 comp picks. So not a surprise the Cardinals are that high in the listing.
Yeah. It'll be interesting that the White Sox have a ton of money. The Pirates have a ton of money. The Rays have a ton of money. We could maybe get into that a little bit tomorrow. Maybe some draft implications of the bonus pool. We can do that. We could talk about the home opener. We could maybe take some listener questions. Lots of things we could talk about.
Talk about the recent cuts as well.
Yeah, some guys that were released. We can kind of go over a little bit about what happens in the minor league games on Thursday since the Guardians are off. We'll come back. We'll touch on all that tomorrow. Sunday, by the way, I'll also be in Columbus at the Clippers game. So if you're going to the Clippers game on Sunday, I'll be there if you want to say hey or talk ball or whatever. I'll be down there as well. So lots of baseball, and I absolutely love it. I also love that the Guardians are coming home. I don't have to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning to watch a full game. Thank God.
Yeah, I think we're all ready to be done with this West Coast trip across the board.
It was a good one.
It was a good one. I mean, hey, if you're going to have to deal with it, then at least it's a good one, right? Yeah. But thank you all for joining us. Remember to rate and review, download daily, click the bell, leave a comment, do all those fun things. We appreciate each and every one of you. And again, your team that won this division a year ago just beat the team that won the World Series. So let's see how it goes from here, but things are looking good. Thank you all, and go Guardians, go beat the
Country
Dodgers.
roads, take me to